And welcome to Fast Girl Speaks. Today is Glary de Glasses Day. Okay. Today is November something, not the 10th, but the Tuesday before it. I'm from space. That's right. Do you see me? I'm from space today. Commander, do you see? I forgot to change this. This is my Pineland sweater. And so when I'm cold in the morning, sometimes I fasten it like I'm on the SS the Enterprise. Do you like it? It's super hot. I'm from space, yo. Not a red shirt. What's yellow? Is yellow engineering? Why don't I know that? I feel like a failure now. Oh well. But see, I have my little goat horn or sheep horn comm badge. I'm ready to go. Wool is the future, yo. Anyway, so I meant to change that before I started the podcast. But I'm okay. Hi, how are you? As I mentioned, it's November, right? I talked about November, it being that day. It's a day in November. And this is episode 207, I think. Hi, I'm Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry, and the Fat SQRRL on Instagram. Did I say this is the Pineland sweater? I think I did something different with the sleeve. It's been a while now. It's like 2 years full ago. I think I did like a welted sleeve like you can find on... There's a Brooklyn tweed pattern called Boardwalk. Let me pull that out of the depths of my mind. My spacesuit helped me. My woolly spacesuit. Anyway, so I did this sleeve like that. I don't believe that that's in the original Pineland pattern. And I apologize. I don't know off the top of my head who wrote it because the comm badge is now off. I can't access that data. But this is Peace Fleece worsted or Aran. I don't know what they're calling it nowadays. In the mustard colorway. I think it's just called mustard, if I'm not mistaken. How are you? Oh my goodness, y'all. Right? All of a sudden, it's fall. I live in central Indiana, and we had like a cold snap, but before Rhinebeck time. But nothing really seemed to be affected. Like the leaves weren't affected really. And all of a sudden, everything, like this morning when I took Tova, that's my daughter, to the bus stop, it was like, everything is starting to change and it's gorgeous and it's blustery. Because what happened is it was like we had this like cold snap, which was just like gray and like a little too cold. And then it got really, like for a few days it would warm again. And so it was just all like, what is happening? But now it's starting to feel actually like it's fall. It's going to last like 3 days, but whatever. We've got to enjoy it while we can. I'm actually like super short on apples. Because our weather was so weird. I don't like to really pick apples when it's 85 degrees. And so like I actually had to go buy apples from the city orchard, which does not have you pick. I know, I bought already picked apples. I had a moment in the grocery store where I almost bought the grocery store apples and then I was like, settle down. That is wrong. It is not the time to do that yet. Like February is definitely the time to do that. Not right now. Even though I do appreciate a jazz apple. Have you had those? They're a grocery store brand. I don't know. I've never seen them at an orchard itself, although we are limited in our options. We only have like 3 or 4. People in Texas are like, shut up. But anyway, so there's this apple variety called the Jazz Apple, which I quite enjoy. I used to be a big fan of the Pink Lady, but I've got to say, this is a knitting podcast. Just wait for it if you're new. Sorry. See, I promise. But they're really hit or miss. It seems like when they first started bringing out the Pink Ladies, which I admit was like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, they seemed like they were fairly consistent. And now it seems all of a sudden, like sometimes you get them and they're totally like pasty. Like they're just like the texture is okay, but then the flavor is really flat. They're kind of like a sweeter, like a sweet tart apple. And also, like, sometimes I have this phenomenon that I don't understand yet, which I maybe could look up, but I haven't thought to do so yet. In that the apple itself will look perfect, but then you cut into it and it's like internally bruised. Do you know what that is? Do you know how that works? I don't know. All right. But anyway, so this jazz apple though is quite enjoyable. I'm liking it. This episode will contain, I don't think it has any shenanigans. We've been not shenaniganing. Lack of shenanigans. But it will contain knits from the Crips. What? It will contain spinning and knitting and some shameless self-promotion. Holiday bag, Joe. What? It's true. I just realized I left my little faux table a little bit too far away from me. There's so much stuff to show you, but so much. I'm actually totally exaggerating. It shouldn't really be that heavy, but it is. Anywho, so let's talk about this from the Crips. I forgot to talk about it last time. Because in my true knowing of myself, I am a fail at cows. I'm not good at hostessing them at all. So I try not to do them very often because I don't like to let you down. But then sometimes I do anyway and just continue to let you down. So, but there are lots of great entries on the boards about what people are doing from their nips from the Crips or the It's Alive along. Which is basically where you find something that's in your languishing pile of knitwear that you're just not wearing, and you try to figure out how you can rework it to make it workable again for you. And it can be something really easy, like, well, I say easy, that's an incorrect statement. It could be something like over-dyeing, like maybe you made, somebody on the boards, she made a 2-color sweater and one color bled into the other. I think it was a sweater. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a sweater. And one color bled into the other and she was very sad about it. So she's going to over dye her whole thing like a darker color. Brilliant. So I say easy. I don't mean easy as in easy to do, but just like it's a one thought process. Like, ooh, I'm going to do that. Basically, I don't know what I'm talking about. Easy is just not the right word. I can't go back with it. There are other folks who are like literally taking things apart because they're pieced and reworking them. But there are lots of great ideas. Like it would be I would love to go through all of them because quite frankly, I do think it's a wealth of information. There's some really brilliant folks out there suggesting things and saying what they're going to do. But so if you have anything that you're kind of like uninspired by and they're like, this isn't the right time for me to do a cow or a fix along or whatever you want to call it. I do suggest going to the board, the Ravelry board, which is under the Fat Squirrel Speaks group, and reading through the entries because people have great ideas about how to fix some stuff that they want to, and it'll make you rethink something. You might think that there's nothing you can do with that project, but then there are several ideas that I had not, again, I would have really not thought of dyeing the sweater over. I don't know why I would have thought about that. I just don't think I would have. So that, and then even some like more technical, like, again, I'm not trying to dismiss dyeing. Dyeing is difficult. But more like a knitting technical stuff that you can do to rework some things. Something else I was going to say. What was it, kids? Do you know? You have to get that eye surgery to fix my eyes so my glasses will stop glaring. Tell you now that I'm going to need bifocals. Anyway. So there's lots of great information out there. Here's what I'm doing so far. I have largely been a fail, as I said earlier, not only on maintaining boards, but also on doing the things that I suggested we all do together. But anyway, I had, let's see, where is it? I have two things. Okay, here's one. This sock I made for my mama, I'm going to say like maybe over a year ago. It was actually a pair of socks. But she sent it back to me, or via my mother, because I'll put in a picture here, hopefully. Because what is that weird hole in the sock? I have no idea how it happened. I don't know why my brain won't figure it out. There were no broken threads. This was a brand new sock that had never been worn. It's like a drop stitch, but in the pickup, maybe? Maybe like I dropped, I don't even know. Right? And there were no ends that weren't weaving in. I would have thought maybe I like somehow like, when I started to pick up the stitches for the gusset, like maybe like that end came loose somehow and just worked its, even though that would be phenomenal. Like I'd forgotten to weave it in or something. But that's not, there were no loose ends even. What? I guess it was a dropped heel flap stitch that then like lost the pickup from the gusset, but it's just weird. That has to be what it was. But anyway, it was a very strange thing. And so it sat there forever for me being like, I don't know how to fix that because I don't even know what's wrong with it. Okay. But then I just fixed it this morning because I realized I was a fail at my cow. Thanks for the inspiration, y'all. Guilt's a good motivator. So all I did was just pick up the stitches that had unraveled because they had no anchor. So I got those all worked up till they were even. And then I picked up the stitches along the gusset. That must be what it was. Like I must have dropped a heel flap stitch that then then came down all the way down. That had to be what it was. It was weird. So then I just picked up along the heel flap because there were like loosey live stitches. So I just picked those up. They were kind of wonky. So I had to do a little bit of like finagling. I twisted some of them. I picked up stitches below on some of them just to try to tighten them up a little bit. I mean, if you look closely, it's not pretty. But only because you know what you're doing. It is, and then it's not been blocked again, of course, because hi. But it's totally functional, and I think once it's washed, you won't be able to tell even unless you, again, are a knitter. There's a few of those pickup stitches that are a little bit loosey, but Mama won't care. This is just a regular heel flap top down sock. This is a Miss Babs. I'm not sure which one it is. I think it might be Cosmos, which I think is now discontinued. Cosmic, not Cosmos. Space Pants. Have you listened to Space Pants, the SNL skit? If you haven't, just Google it. It's really enjoyable. So anyway, so that's fixed. Oh, and the colorway. I think this is the Biker Chick colorway. So that's my first fix from Knits from the Crips. That really, I guess, technically wouldn't count. I'm not winning a prize. But I guess technically that's just a repair. But it's a more advanced repair. It was weird. So my next one I'm going to do, that's in progresso, is my my cardigan that I recently made with Barrett wool and her fingering weight. Now I can't remember what the stinking pattern is called, even though I just looked it up like a half minute ago. The Bentley cardigan. The pattern suggests that you pick up 9 out of 10 stitches on this open front, or, along the cardigan front to do the button band, which seems crazy. And I really feel like I didn't actually even do 9 to 10. I think I did like 8 to 9 or 7 to 8 or something. So I didn't even, but it's still, there's too many stitches in this button band. And you can kind of, well, you probably can't see there. Can you see? It's like kind of like warbling even. But when you try it on, it definitely wants to do the like swooshy open thing, which may have been intended because it's actually photographed open, and you can kind of, it didn't really look like it was doing because again, the profile of too many stitches picked up on a button band is that the sweater will do this thing and then go back. Like it goes to a point in the front rather than just coming down and across. And mine is definitely doing that. So I decided to, and it's a beautiful sweater, and it's a fingering weight sweater, yo, for my big old butt. So I gotta fix that because that's redonkulous. I can't believe I just said that word. Whatever, I'm a hot mess. So I just ripped out one side of the button band, the buttonhole side, and then I've re-picked up. I went crazy and picked up a 3 for $4, which I never do. I'm probably gonna regret it. Maybe I should have done 4 to 5, which is my typical one. I don't know. But I did the measurements and it seems like this is correct. I actually did the gauge measurements. I know, it'll definitely not work now because I did what I was supposed to do. But anyway, so I've picked that up and I'm going for it. I'm going to fix this button band. And by the way, look how cute these buttons are. I mean, come on. And this wool is so enjoyable to work with. Also, I ripped out that button band, and even though this is a woolen spun fingering weight that does not have like a mohair or nylon component, I ripped out that button band, easy peasy. And it's a one row button band, so there's like bound off stitches that then you like go and twist it. So it's not a super easy one to pick out, and it did really well. So yay, Bartlett wool, fingering weight woolen spun, Wisconsin woolen spun. So anyway, so it's just so enjoyable. This yarn, Susan B. Anderson. I was all thinking, so how many we would do like an Elizabeth Zimmerman along in December, January. Does that sound good? And so I've been thinking about doing a February lady sweater, which I'm kind of on the fence about. Like, it seems like it's one of those things you knit and then you don't wear. But I think with my dress number 1s that I'm wearing more often, that it's actually a good profile for that. Because you could just button the top part. Anyway, I think it'll be cute. And so originally I thought, oh, I'm going to make it with Brooklyn tweed because that is kind of a bucket list sweater yarn for me. It's a little spendy for my budget, and especially with my size, like any sweater I make out of it's going to cost like, well, even to do the February lady sweater is still going to cost like $100 and something, which for me is quite a bit to spend on a sweater. Again, because I knit so many during the year because it's kind of my job. What I'm trying to say is I'm not judging you if you have 35 Brooklyn tweed shelter sweaters in your closet or your linen chest or whatever. For me, it's a little bit more than I would like to normally spend on one sweater. Not that I haven't spent that much, because I'm sure there's at least one sweater in my life that has been ridiculously expensive. But that's a lot of words for me to say. That I thought originally about making it with the Brooklyn tweed. Was it shelter that's the worsted weight? But then I'm very tempted to do the Barrett wool, the worsted woolen spun, or the worsted weight woolen spun. The worsted woolen spun. So I can't decide. I'm torn. Because quite frankly, Brooklyn tweed has that beautiful, is it called hayloft? That's kind of like basically this color, only slightly different. But I don't know that I'll wear it as much in that color because it is so this color. Just kind of a lot on my frame. I think I want it to be more of an everyday kind of sweater. I don't know. Anyway, that's me talking a lot. That's what the show is. So I'm working on that. So those are what I'm working on right now for Knits from the Crips. Hopefully I'll have my other sweater working. I'll be working on that next time. Let's hope. I'm falling out of my chair. I'm so excited to see you. I'm on the edge of my seat. Anyway, so there's that. Now let's talk about spinning. Oh, wait, one more thing. This is not really my shenanigans nor my craft, but I wanted to show you these because they're super cute. This weekend, Tova was a little bit under the weather. She called Friday at school and said, could you come get me? She sounded all pitiful. So I picked her up at school Friday afternoon. She had been a little bit pukey. And so I was unsure if she like had like some sort of virus or if she just had allergies and then like she took some allergy medicine and then they actually went on a field trip. So she was in the bus and yes, she took car sick medicine, but then she didn't eat anything because she's crazy. So I couldn't tell if she was like literally like getting the flu because she was like pukey and like all like, you know, mucosally crazy up there. Mucosally is not a word if you're not a native English speaker. Don't let me trick you. So I was like, does she have the flu? Do I need to like, I took like about 7,000 milligrams of vitamin C, by the way. That's right. I don't want to get the flu. I don't get sick days. Anyway. So I was like, does she have the flu? And I just could not tell what was going on because she was still like pukey all day. But she didn't have a fever. Anyway, I couldn't tell. But apparently she just, I think she took medicine on an empty stomach and it just made her like, ugh, all day. And then she was saying that she was really tired. I don't know what's going on. But she did not have the flu. Yay! But she was puny all weekend. And so one of the things she did when she was puny was she wanted to craft something. I generally don't push my child to craft because I did not like to craft until I became older. And I feel like she might be the same way. Like she's definitely like my sad, like crazy brain that has to be doing 17 things at once so that it can feel at peace. But she just doesn't know it yet. So I'm just letting her be on that path to discovery. Just going to support her on that path. But even though I'm secretly like, oh my gosh, learn it in a sock, please. Also, you can make some more for your grandparents because I can't keep up. But she was puny and she made some pot holders. Okay, by the way, like look at how stinking gorgeous these pot holders are. What? That's not a mistake. It's just not. I haven't washed these yet. So this is the using the Harrisville Pro size. They have two sizes of their loops and looms. This is the larger of the two sizes, and I love them. Yarn Hoarders that are Heidi made me one, and that sparked. I think I had made one before that, but just had not. I don't know. What was I doing? But anyway, when she made me one, I was like, what? These are amazing. So then I made a few more, but they're very time consuming. And when you're a person who feels like they need to be knitting for a podcast that supports their business, then it sometimes is hard to make the time dedication to make them. But I had purchased some new loops from Harrisville after Rhinebeck because they give you a free shipping code if you buy something at Rhinebeck. So I purchased the, is it Indian Summer Kit? And I will not lie to you, when it came in the mail, I was a little bit like, but look at these. Now she did add red. So the redder color were loops that we already had. But like how gorgeous is that? Right. So anyway, I'm very excited about these. One of them is for me and one is a gift. But the one with the stitch marker is mine. So she does the looming and then I do the crochet edge because it is a little bit stressful when you're taking them off the loom, because it does, like when you get to the very end, it sometimes can feel like they're going to slip out and you get a little bit like, drop stitches. So I do that part. And then I just, on the sewing machine, I just sew a little bit right here, like along this loopy loom edge, just to lock that down. Because otherwise that can pull out when you wash it or what have you. And we machine wash ours and they do great. They've held up beautifully. So yay. Okay, now on to knitting and spinning. Well, actually, let's take a drink. You guys, I totally wore lipstick for you, and then I drank tea, and it's probably not even showing up anymore. Oh my gosh, speaking of things, I've also been having terrible hangnails lately. And it's, of course, like winter is here. Well, winter is on its way. And so the heat has been kicking on in our house because my husband is so cold all the time. Maybe he could eat a little cake and that would be better, but whatever. And so I've been having really bad hangnails. And so I was looking up remedies for hangnails. I'm not very good at being a lady. I'm actually great at being a lady, but I'm not very good at being a fancy lady. So I don't know what to do in these cases because I don't buy products very much because it's just not, it's a slippery slope for one thing, by the way. You think, oh, I'm going to go buy some moisturizer for my face. And then like $40 later, you're like, wait, what? Right? Anyway, one of the things and by the way, and then there's like all these weird parabens and things. I'm like, they just make me nervous. Anyway. And also they're like $1 billion. How is like 2 ounces of face cream like $1 billion really though? Okay. So I looked it up, and one of the suggestions was rosehip oil, which I'm thinking makes perfect sense because when I was looking up things, moisturizers and things, one of the uber expensive moisturizers that you can buy is like the super intensive vitamin C thing. And my vitamin C pills are totally made of rose hips. So I was like, oh, maybe this is what this is about. So I got some rose hip oil. I put 16 ounces of cocoa butter, just grated on the trees grater, plus 30, no, that's not right. That was a grams. I was like, wait, that's a lot. 16 grams, because this was an experiment. 16 grams of cocoa butter, grated it up. I put it in the microwave just enough to melt it a little bit, because it is hard. And then I added 32 grams of coconut oil. And then I took the rose hip oil, comes with like an eyedropper. It's like an essential oil bottle. It's like this big. And it has an eyedropper. So then I added 8 dropperfuls, not 8 drops, but 8 dropperfuls of the rosehip oil. And then I've been using that on my cuticles, and it seems to be doing really well. Also, I've been putting it right here in my cheeks, at night especially. I'm not a huge fan of that combination because when you put it on, it does not instantly soak into your skin. It does look a little shiny, feel a little bit, where greasy really isn't correct, because it doesn't feel like you have like Crisco on your hands, because I hate that feeling. But it does, you know, you can tell you've got some sort of oil on you. So I've just been using it on my cheeks at night, and it seems to be working really nicely. I'm going to pretend it's actually helping with the broken capillaries in my cheeks. I don't know that it really is. I'm pretending it is. It says it's good for that. We'll see. But it does seem to be really helping with my hangnail issue. And you don't even have to make the whole shebang. You can just take the rosehip oil and put it directly on your skin. It's not like tea tree oil or something that has to be diluted. So I have been doing that sometimes too, just putting the rosehip oil on my cuticles and just rubbing it in. So anyway, I don't know what that file's under, but it's definitely not knitting or spinning. But it is an important adjacent thing because, again, our hands are our tools, and you know when you're knitting and you've got a hangnail and the yarn gets caught on it, it is unpleasant. Mine were not like the hard ones, they were just like those feathery, weird ones. Anyway, let's talk about knitting and spinning. Okay. I have finished spinning. This is Three Waters Farm Rise and Shine Rambouillet, and I just did a chain ply with that. Right, how cute is it? Isn't that fun? I don't do many chain plies. They kind of stress me out, I'm not gonna lie. Because I tend to spin my singles with very low twist. I tend to spin more of like a wooleny style, which means your singles are not quite as strong as they would be if you spun them worsted. So chain plying, when you do that, you either have to add more twist than you normally do to your singles, or you have to be prepared to curse a lot when you're chain plying. I kind of go somewhere in the middle. I don't curse a lot, but there is some cursing. Just because it's so easy to break a single when you're chain plying. So there's that. I'm very satisfied with it. It's definitely not my normal colors, but that's one of the great things about a club. I was a member of the Three Waters Farm Club for 6 months, and I really enjoyed it because, again, it got me some stuff that I would not normally have picked, but was very enjoyable all the same. So there's that in Rambouillet. And then, of course, this is from Nest Fiber Studio. This is her Equinox colorway in a Tarhi bamboo silk mix, blend, whatever. This I spun as a single. I did not full it, but I just washed it like I normally would. So I can't decide if I should go back and full it because I do see some places that are a little underspun. But usually you can get away with it more with a silk. Because the silk fibers are so long, they help you when you're doing a single ply. They help to give it a little bit more strength than you would. For example, I would not do a single ply of a short fiber like a downy fiber, because it would be much more challenging to make a working yarn. I don't mean like a working yarn, but I mean like an actual like usable yarn. But the silk tends to help with that. So we'll see. I don't know. Just experimenting. Anyway. So there's that. And then works in progress. Okay. So last time I showed you this, I had purchased at the Needles Up event in Rhinebeck. Where's my tag? I totally brought it. Fancy Classy Squid. I don't know why I always want to say fancy. Because I'm fancy, yo. Classy Squid Fiber Company's Shetland in the Leaf Fall colorway. So I finished 4 ounces of that. Right. And this was very fun to spin. I haven't spun Shetland in a very long time. It's very nice to spin. It's definitely not this like the smoothest, butteriest fiber in the world. But boy, is it fun to spin. It just wants to hang, it wants to hang out. Like it wants to be with itself. I was trying to like make a reference to a noble gas and I just can't do it. Anyway, it's the opposite of a noble gas. It wants to hang on. So it was very pleasant to spin. So I'm working on the next 4 ounces. I'm just going to do a traditional 2-ply. And we'll see how that goes. But wow, isn't that beautiful? And this is also like a, what do they call that? Is it Humboldt Shetland, where it's 2 different colors. It has a darker and a lighter fiber in the original fiber. And so it has a great depth of color, and then these colors are just beautiful. So Classy Squid, which is classysquidfiberco.com, has done a great job on that. It's very enjoyable. Beautifully prepared. Okay. Speaking of beautifully prepared fiber, ding! I've also been doing some spindle spinning. If you're newer to the show, I very rarely spindle spin. And there's no reason, quite frankly, except that I'm not very good at it. And so therefore wheel spinning seems so much more efficient to me. But I aesthetically really enjoy it. And much like everything else, I want to be better at it. So I've decided that my plan to do more spindle spinning is A, to buy the most beautiful spindles in the universe. This is a Bosworth spindle. They really are ridiculously gorgeous and very enjoyable. And this shaft, my other one does not have this. This is like the hardwood shaft, I guess. Anyway, it's like the smoothest. This is getting dirty. But it is just so pleasant to work with. Anyway, I'm going to stop that vein of conversation right now. I don't trust myself. This fiber is from Knit Spin Farm, and her shop is knitspinfarm.etsy.com. And this is Corriedale in the Antique Fables colorway. It is beautiful. By the way, I might have a thing for gold if you're new. And it's got gold and then this beautiful, like, warm, winey purple. It is... Anyway, so usually when I try to start spindle spinning, I try to start spinning, like, batlings or something, because I think, oh, it should be a small project. But I'm not really great at spinning bats. I'm not bad at it, but I'm not usually great at it. So then I was like, okay, I need to spin some just plain old top, because that's what I'm most comfortable with. Corriedale makes perfect sense because it's a little grabbier. I would not spin merino because I'm not very good at that even on the wheel. So I was like, okay, Corriedale's a good option. It's grabbier. Beautiful spindle. And then what I'm trying to do is when I'm sewing, my sewing machine's right there. When I'm working, I try to do like an X amount of minutes working and then 7 minutes break. So 7 minutes spindle spinning. So I think it's working out. I've only done this for a few days, but I don't know, I'm really enjoying it. And I think I just need to spindle spin more because you can do amazing things with spindle spinning and it's really cool. And it definitely connects you to a past that sometimes does not feel very concrete in our current world, and also beautiful things. And you can hang them from your glasses if you're fancy. My gosh, why don't I need to be able to do that. Anyway, it's very pleasant. This is very pleasant. Okay. Also, I washed, not all of my fleece, but I washed some of my my Romney fleece, sorry. I washed some of my Romney fleece that I purchased at Rhinebeck. So I washed this much. I didn't wash all in this bag because that's dangerous. And it is very pleasant and sheepy and wonderful. It was very low grease. One wash, plenty. In fact, I was like, wait, it's too dry. One wash with Power Scour and it needs to have oil added back into it, which is actually a thing that you often do. Spinners often do that, or it's not, well, yes, spinners, but people who are processing wool often will add a bit of oil back into the wool after it's been scoured, especially when it's being processed commercially, but also when you're just hand processing, because, like, for example, I'm combing this fiber on combs. Do you want to see them? Have you seen combs before? Are you new to combs? And when you're doing, I'm not going to blow, sorry. Sorry, not sorry. When you are processing the wool, it can get very staticky, and also it's just dry and not as pleasant to work with. So when I combed a bit first and I didn't put any oil on it, and I was like, it's not really working for me. These are the combs. Right. They are super dangerous. I kind of giggle at that whole tetanus shot thing, but dude, if I just want to check, because they are really wicked, right? And so, sorry, words and things. So there's lots of different suggestions on what you can add to the wool to make it more pleasant. Some people just spray it with water, but mine definitely needed some grease. Like, it needed to have some sort of, it was dry. It needed nutrient of some sort. So I actually bought, I don't know if this might be a bad idea. Somebody tell me if it is. But I bought lanolin, like a liquid lanolin off Amazon, and I put that in like a sprayer that you use for oils for for cooking and things. Not the the pressure pumper upper, but just like a fine mist sprayer. And I sprayed the fleece with that after I washed it, and that was much more pleasant to spin with. You can also just take the or whatever you're doing, oil, whatever. You can just put it on your hands and just work it through the fleece. I saw that later, so I might try that next time. Just because that seems like it might be a pleasant experience. And it might better distribute the lanolin. So I put a little bit of warm water and a little bit of lanolin in a bottle and just sprayed it, and that seemed to make it easier to work with and more pleasant to work with. So I combed some fiber. I've spun some of it, but here are some of it that I've combed. This is new to me. But, right, I totally made combed fiber. What? So this is my little Romney little Cinnabon. And I actually bought these combs like 2 years ago. But then I watched people comb and I was like horrified by how much waste is involved in it. Because when you comb fiber, and I don't know if this is the case when they commercially comb it for like combed top. And the difference, if you're not familiar, you can comb fiber with combs, or you can card fiber, either with hand carders or with a drum carder. And combing fiber produces combed top, and drum carding or hand carding produces roving. The fibers in combed top are much more aligned than they are in the roving. Also, the combed top, when you're combing it, you lose like little neps, like second cuts, and even fibers that aren't quite the same length. Like if you have a batch of, lots of times on a sheep, the fleece in different places will be different lengths just naturally. And so combing also unifies that. It will get rid of different lengths, I think in favor of the longest one as far as I can tell. So because of that, when you are combing fiber, you actually lose what seems like a frightening amount of it. But then I realized that what you can do is not lose that, but put it aside for carding later. And so that has made it easier for me to do the combing because it seems less stressful. I was really stressed out about losing that much fiber. So that's the combed fiber. Here is the stuff that was combed but was waste product. And you know, you can already see that it's not as aligned and well, I don't know, maybe you can't. You probably can't. But yeah. And also when you're combing, it's more likely to bring out vegetable matter than if you're carding. So, but like here's like little second cutty nippy bits that came out. I should even put those back in the carding bin because not useful. Anyway, my family just gets used to fleece on the floor. Welcome to our house. It's covered in string and fleece. Anyway, so that's been enjoyable. I've spun just a very tiny bit of it. I think I might wait because I don't have a plan for it yet. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm more than willing to spend 4 ounces of top, 8 ounces of top without having a plan for it. But this I feel like I should have some sort of plan for this spinning. So I might let that percolate a little bit in my mind before I decide. I might even try to dye it. Ooh. Dyeing fiber before it is prepared, like in the washed fleece stage, is dangerous. I don't know why, but it's much more likely to felt. Probably because the fibers are not aligned and they're all just like. So when you're preparing it, when you're combing it or carding it, you can open up those tiny bits of matting that can happen, but it is a little bit more stressful. So anyway, so I'm just gonna let that percolate for a minute. Because I run knitting. Wow. It doesn't feel like I've done a lot of knitting, but maybe that's because I've been doing other things too. So last week I showed you my, what is it, garter rib tasmic hat. It's patterned by Stephen West. It is the Brio garter hat. Brio garter hat. And this is some hand spun and some Cascade Eco wool. Did I tell you that last time? I probably didn't. So you can see it's a little bit bigger. Last time it was a headband and now it's like a skiing headband. But it is really pretty. I just dig hand spun and brioche. It is just, that's an excellent look. Don't worry, I'm not going to keep that on. I forgot I had hair in a bun. Whatever. So I'm very much enjoying it. The nice thing is, if you decide that that's too much of a party for you, it is very much reversible. So you could go to the gray as the dominant color. But I like this little smoky rainbow look. Really not a huge rainbow gal. But I've been seeing it more and liking it, so I don't know why I feel like I'm not. It was those Knit Spin Farm bowings that converted me. Anyway, so that's that. Yay! It's very pleasant to work on. I am enjoying it. It's in a bag by Tangerine Designs. Okay. In a bag by Knit Spin Farm. There is a new project. I think I said I might do this. I cast on for the Veronica cardigan. I know, right? Such a joiner! Veronica by, well, who is this by? Shannon Cook. It's the Veronica pattern by Shannon Cook. It is in Bartlett Yarns, and I apologize, I don't remember what this colorway is called, but I'll figure that out for you eventually. So, I just cast on for the back. Well, okay, maybe it's better to show you this way. I don't know which better to show. So there's that. That's basically like the sleeve-ish bit. It's kind of like this. The frontish sleeve-ish bit. And of course that's very pleasant. It is not the most exciting knit in the universe, but it is pleasant, and it is not completely stockinette. There's only 1 row and 4 is a purl row, so that makes it much more bearable when you get to these longer rows. And it has this fun, because of that, it has a slightly elastic, not as elastic as true garter stitch, which in a garment can be problematic. But I think in this one it's going to work out great because A, it's not as elastic, and B, the way it stretches is stretches lengthwise, not widthwise. So I think it'll be fun. So there's that. And then also I cast on for an Abalone cardigan, and that is by Beta Jezik. So it's ABALONE, Abalone cardigan. I'm knitting it with Knit Picks Stroll Fingering in the Basalt Heather colorway. And I'm holding it double. So a friend, this is like very earlier, like I'm thinking this is in September, maybe even the end of August. At the time I was having a bit of a slump when I was just like, I don't know what to knit next. What am I going to do? I don't know. So anyway, she was talking about she was wanting to try to find a sweater that looked like this. And I was like, oh, I know of a pattern like that. I can just make that for you, which I never do, by the way. I'm very stingy with my knitting. Very stingy. And now I'm like, how high was I? In my head, it was going to take like 15 minutes to make. It's like a baby knit. Like, oh, it's just like the half of a sweater. You're a smaller human. Whatever, it'll be instantaneous. It's not, dummy. But anyway, here it is so far. What? Stockinette! Flat! What is going on with me? So, here it is. I have like, what? So is that 5 inches maybe? She doesn't want it very long, but she does want sleeves. Damn it. What was I thinking? Anyway, so there's that. I think I need to get something more exciting on the needles. I've been finding that, I don't know if I'm just, it might just be the time change where it's getting darker sooner, and so it always takes a while to get adjusted to that. We've just switched over. But I've been finding that I knit like a couple rows in the evening, and then I'm like looking at the internet. I need to hide my internet access, or I need to get like a shawl or something going that's a little bit more interesting, because maybe it's because they're both very similar colors. Like this and the Veronica are similar. I love these colors, but they're not the most dynamic things in the universe. And I don't know, it's just like I'm really having trouble knitting for a good extended period of time. Mostly what I do is I knit 2 rows, and then I'm like, oh, let's look at this sweater yarn I could make a sweater out of. Okay, sorry, delivery person. So let's talk about shameless self-promotion. There will be a shop update on November 10th, which will have all of the holiday bags. There will be a shop date up on November 17th that will be sewn to order tea towels. Now those will go out, I think, by the first week of December, so you should get them in plenty of time for holidays if you want to gift them. So then the next update will be December 1st. That will be heavy on library card bags, but it'll have a few Granny Square bags as well, as the favorites update. So if you're looking for one of those are sewn to order, so they do take about a week to put together, but they should still get you by holidays if you're looking for them for holiday shopping. And then I think that puts me, Elizabeth Zimmerman pins will be restocked on December 10th, I think, 8th or 10th. I can't recall, I apologize. It is on the website, the fatsquirrelfibers.bigcartel.com, if you're interested. And those, of course, will go out immediately. I think that's all the information. I am still waiting on my Fat Squirrel enamel pins. Hopefully those will be in the next few weeks. Okay, I think that's it. Let's talk about this shop update. So, sock bags. This is the old school sock bag. So we'll have them in these fancy pants. Gilded pine cones. Yes, they're holiday, very traditional. But like nice and wintry all year round. Then, llamas. Look. It's yarn hoarder llama. Do you see its pot? Do you see its earmuffs? Do you see how happy it is about its earmuffs? So this is the amber llama. But like, really, how cute is that? Oh, these do have printed in linings. So the pine cones have like a red berry lining, and then the llamas have like a South American nice print. So yeah, how cute is that? So those are traditional sock size. And the sock plus, and these are interfaced quilters cotton. So in the sock plus size, you can see the difference here. The sock plus is about 1 inch wider. It looks to be about the same height. It's actually slightly taller, but it has a deeper gusset. So, your choice, whichever you prefer. This is made with a lightweight cotton twill. Look how cute. And then lined with my traditional unbleached twill. So there's those guys. Oops. Some festive holiday copy cuppas, if you were interested. Right. How cute are those? Then, in the small wedge size, I have, right. These make me very happy. I don't know why they feel like they're on like fancy wrapping paper, like the craft kind of color background. I think that's why I think that, but I love them. Aren't they sweet? Oh. I love a bird, I'm not gonna lie. Just put a bird on it. It's a thing for a thing. Thing for a reason. So then I have this print, which I also totally dig. I would not call it, I don't know, I wouldn't call it quite mod, but it has that feeling. I dig it. So again, it's a great holiday print that is also kind of like season neutral. It doesn't scream Christmas, even though it has like baubles on it. Like, it just has a nice, and I love the gray, orange, teal, yellow combo. It's very pleasant to me. So both small wedge and large wedge. Bam. And then, because I gotta represent for my cat ladies, there's some festive holiday cats. This is an interfaced quilter's cotton. The rest I show you will all be the decorator twills. How cute. More my quilters. Right. How cute is that? So again, it's like holiday colors, but I feel like it doesn't scream. I would definitely use this all winter long. And then, this is my favorite. So I'll have this both in sweater and large wedge sizes. What? I don't know why I like this so much. It's the same designer. I'm sure you can definitely see the similarities. Like the tree is the same in both. See that? Left and right are very confusing. But same designer. I just love this. I love the color. It's just awesome. Again. Super great. I think would be great for all winter long. Well, for quite frankly all the time if you like it. But so that's in a sweater and a large wedge size. And then last one, right, sweater size. How cute are these guys? What? Super sweet. Totally dig them. I know, I really like this one too. So that's the update that's coming up on November 10th. So again, that's fatsquirrelfibers.bigcartel.com. And I think that's all. Right? Madness! So much stacking. I can't do it all. Ah! Okay, so I think that's everything. I hope you have a great week. I hope you do some knits from the Crips. Do it. It's also a great way to knit, so sneak some knitting in for yourself. I mean, I knit for myself all holiday season, don't get me wrong. But if you're a person who is very selfless or has more limited knitting time, it's also a great way to sneak in some knitting for yourself to actually make something new again and make it useful to you. So yeah, I think that's all. I'll talk next time. Bye.